talk about the players coming in. You mentioned Jimmy Boeheim now coming over from Cornell. Him and Buddy, of course. Cole Swider from Villanova. We know him around here in New Jersey. Certainly can get hot from three, absolutely. And you mentioned it, five-star guard, Benny Williams, the prize here, the recruiting class. Talk about the new guys coming in.
I just talked to Jim Boeheim the other day, and he's really happy with this forward group. And, they might not be as athletic, and, we'll see how that affects them defensively. But he pointed out to me that, last year their starting forwards were 6'7" and 6'5". Robert Braswell would come off the bench. He was about 6'7". And none of them were, Quincy had some bulk to him, but the other two guys didn't. I mean, Alan Griffin was basically a two-guard playing the three. Yeah. Jim points out Cole Swider 6'9". Jimmy Boeheim is 6'9". Benny Williams is 6'8" or 6'9", depending on who you're hearing it from, right? They're bigger. They're a lot bigger at forward. And he's like, yeah, maybe you're not quite as athletic, but if you're 2 inches bigger and you have the wingspan, that the zone can stretch out a little bit more. And he also has guys with between Cole and Jimmy Boeheim, he's got experienced guys. Cole Swider, elite three-point shooter. They're looking forward to adding him to the offense and stretching more teams on the perimeter. He replaces what you had in Alan Griffin. Only gives you a guy 4 inches taller, too.
And probably more consistent.
They're hoping. They're really hoping for that. I mean, Alan, that was his big thing last year. His issues were consistency. Mm-hmm. Cole's knock on Cole at Villanova was he struggled defensively. Mm-hmm. But Villanova plays man-to-man, and not only that, but they switch on screens out on the perimeter. And I watched a little bit of film on Cole and noticed that a lot of times when he struggled defensively, it was after getting switched onto a guard or a three.
Great point.
He's not going to have to worry about that at Syracuse. You are going to have to defend, out to the 3-point line in the zone. The forwards are asked to do a lot, but it's not often when you're switched onto a point guard. It's not often that the point guard finds himself in the corner where you're at. So I think he's perfect. For what Syracuse needs and how they plan on utilizing it.
And Benny, of course, seems to be the prize coming in. Well-rounded, top recruit, a really high recruit, too. Syracuse always recruits well, but I think Benny is getting into a real nice level here, and I'm sure he's going to just jump right in and make an impact. Yeah,
he was a really important recruit for him. A top 30 kid, top 40 kid. And he comes out of the metropolitan D.C. area, although he spent last year at IMG Academy down in Florida. But, Syracuse is always, down in that Baltimore, D.C. corridor. So to, go down there and get another good one is important for them. And, so he comes in, he's going to provide some athleticism. He's got a lot of potential. We'll have to see where he's at. If you're a top 30, 40 recruit, sometimes you come in and if you got the right role waiting for you, you can play right away. Sometimes those guys need a little time. With Jimmy Boeheim and Cole Swider, he doesn't have to be rushed. But if he's ready, yeah, you can put him in your starting lineup and probably bring a Jimmy Boeheim off the bench, who with his experience and everything, he'd be a perfect guy, to have it in that 6-man role. Someone who can handle it. He's got the maturity to handle that role.
You put out an article recently, Syracuse.com, looking at their schedule and made the remark that this schedule is one of the tougher ones you can remember in recent memory, non-conference especially. Talk about what they have coming up. We're coming back. We're going to have fans in the stands, and it looks like the Orange are wasting no time here loading up the schedule.
Yeah, they could play a lot of really good teams before we get to January 1st. They're going to have a home game against Indiana in the ACC Big Ten Challenge. They're going to go on the road to Georgetown. They're going to renew the rivalry with the Hoyas as they have in the last 4, 5, 6 years. But this year it's down in D.C., so that's a road game.
As a Pearl Washington, Patrick Ewing, Sherman Douglas guy here, I love it. I love to hear that, Mike.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I've been covering Syracuse since 1989, so I wasn't here when Patrick and Pearl were going up and down the court in those days, but I got to see some good Syracuse-Georgetown games. Saw some of that bad blood spilled on the court, I always like to see that game renewed. So that's a big one. They're getting Villanova at Madison Square Garden in early December. It's part of the Jimmy V Classic doubleheader. We know Villanova is going to be top 10, top 15, and so you're getting them on a neutral court. And and they're in the battle for Atlantis, which has a field that includes defending national champion Baylor, UConn, Auburn, Michigan State, and Syracuse is going to open against Virginia Commonwealth. So it's going to be really important for them to go down and win that opening round game, because after that, boy, I mean, you could be running into Baylor, Auburn, UConn, Michigan State. You're getting, you could come back with 1 win or 0 wins. It's a really tough schedule, and they've spiced it up with a few other, they like to play regional teams if they can. So you're always going to get Cornell and Colgate, and you're getting Lafayette and Lehigh as well, which are, really good, solid Patriot League teams. It'll be, but those other games, the battle for Atlantis and the other 3 big ones, Indiana, Villanova, and Georgetown, that's a tough schedule.